Morning. Welcome to State and Local Government Committee. The time is now 9:11. We have a quorum. Members, we have two House files that contains provisions previously heard and passed by this committee and the Senate floor as part of our policy omnibus. The House has passed them as standalones matching our language, so we will be moving them forward as well. We will simply take procedural motions to pass them out of committee. And with that, I want to see if members have questions or comments on these two bills, House File 3860 and House File 4455. With that, I will move House File 3860 to be recommended to pass and be placed on general orders. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The motion prevails. House File 3860 is recommended to pass and be placed on general orders. Following that is House File 4455. This is the Ramsey County Human Resources Personnel Update. I move the House, or Senator Swedzinski moves the House File 4455 be recommended to pass and be placed on general orders. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The motion prevails. House File 4455 is recommended to pass and be placed on general orders. Next up, we have Senate File 4276, Senator Frentz. Welcome to State and Local Government Committee. Senator Frentz, to your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. My pleasure to appear for the first time this year in the State and Local Government Committee and present Senate File 4276. This is the pension omnibus bill for 2026. You probably have a lot of chief authors come before you to tell you how great their bill is, but I am sincere when I say how great this bill is. I'm here also on behalf of Minnesota's teachers, police officers, firefighters, probation officers, 911 telecommunicators, and a host of Minnesotans who support what is actually a very significant pension bill. Some have said the most significant in a while. Since we passed the one last year, including the funding for teacher retirement, I'll just say they're both great. Briefly, Mr. Chair, there's both policy and budget that was passed unanimously on Tuesday night by the members of the LCPR. That is, every Democrat, every Republican voted yes for this bill, and for a lot of very good reasons. The fiscal impact, if you'd like to have someone run through it, like Mr. Erickson, but I think it's probably better to cover it than me. Whatever is your preference, Mr. Chair.
It looks like there's also a couple of amendments.
The DE2.
All right.
Is that what you have?
Yes, the A2 amendment for DE. I don't know if that's correct, Council. Okay, and then we'll go with the DE2 first. Mr. Erickson, I don't know if you want to run through that for us.
Mr. Chair and members, I'd be happy to walk through the spreadsheet that reflects what the changes that are in the DE2. They also pull in a couple changes from the author's amendment, the DE3, or not the DE3, sorry, just the A3, drawn to the DE2. And then I think Ms. Linczewski may be able to walk through the bill if that's something you're interested in, or maybe the committee is just concerned with this portion. But I'll walk through the spreadsheet first. This is very similar to spreadsheets we've seen previously in this committee. You'll see a first block of columns showing the effects on the current budget biennium, fiscal 26 and 27. The second block of columns showing the fiscal 28-29 tails biennium. The difference I would call your attention to on the left side is where we often see these spreadsheets organized by agency. In this case, they are organized by which bill was included in the omnibus bill. So working down along the left side, there's first a change to the State Board of Investment, the way that expenses are apportioned based on funds that are invested. This bill, Senate File 4572, Senator Rasmussen's bill, reduces the appropriation that is normally carried in the State Gov Omnibus bill that gives the SBI $139,000 a year. in return for reducing that appropriation, which is what SBI gets for managing those general fund funds, there will be a revenue loss to the general fund, which you would find on line 32. That's a negative $782,000 a year, and is reported at the bottom of the spreadsheet with the revenues. The second bill would be Senate File 1122, Senator Frentz's bill. This is relating to removing the COLA delay for para, police, and fire, and for this, the bill provides an $8 million annual direct aid to the plan. There's also a bill in here, Senator Frentz bill in here, Senate File 5097, that is establishing a probation and telecommuter retirement subplan, both for local governments and for state employees. And so there are a few moving pieces here. On the one hand, for the MSRS folks, there is an employer contribution that would be increased, and so this bill is providing appropriations to those agencies who have eligible employees. That includes the Department of Corrections for $272,000, the Department of Public Safety for $14,000, and the Met Council for $40,000. Those numbers are half of what they would be in the tails because these contributions are made on a calendar year basis rather than the fiscal year, so we don't pick up a full fiscal year until we are in the tails. There's also two more lines on 17 and 18 where there are direct aid for the plans relating to buying down some employee contributions as well. And those amounts are one-time transfers from the general fund into these specified accounts. It ends up breaking down as $390,000 one time for MSRS and $2.6 million for para. You'll also see just under that line that there's a small amount as well from the Trunk Highway Fund. This is reflecting that for the same employer contribution I mentioned before, that the Department of Public Safety has some folks who are paid out of the Trunk Highway Fund, and so those employer contributions need to be, those appropriations for the public safety employer contributions also need to come out of the Trunk Highway Fund. And then finally, there is a direct state aid on line 23 for the St. Paul Teachers Retirement Fund. This was Senate File 4860, Senator Pappas, and this is paying for some changes in that bill. And so, Mr. Chair, if you go all the way down to line 37, apparently the first of two line 37s, you'll find that the total cost of the pensions bill is $15.369 million in the current biennium and $12.697 million annually in the tails biennium.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson. And with that, before Ms. Lincheski's going to come up and present the bill, we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping. Vice Chair May Quaid moves the A2DE authors amendment, DE2 amendment. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The motion prevails. The amendment is adopted. And then next there's the A3 technical amendment. Senator Frentz, would you like to move that amendment?
I don't know that I can move it, Mr. Chair.
Sorry. Senator May Quaid also moves the A3 technical amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay. The motion prevails. The amendment is adopted. Ms. Lincheski, welcome to the State and Local Government Committee. And Senator Frentz, did you have anything else to add?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair. Like Ms. Lincheski, the members of LCPR have been working on these provisions, some of them for years. Happy to have her run through the bill. I've mentioned the highlights in my opening remarks. Very proud of it. And Mr. Erickson's review tells you some of the costs. So happy to turn it over to Ms. Lincheski, our Executive Director, and a damn fine one, too.
All right, thank you, Senator Frentz. And Ms. Lincheski, please state your name for the record, and you may begin.
Thank you, Chair Xiong. My name is Susan Lencheski. I'm the Executive Director of the Legislative Commission on Pensions and Retirement. In the materials that were posted today, there is our summary. I'll very quickly go through that. The bill is 170 pages long right now, so I will not do a section by section unless you all want to be here for a couple hours. Article 1 relates to the Minnesota State Retirement System. It is a lot of administrative changes. There is some special legislation at the end for some field fire marshals who were accidentally omitted from the plan. Article 2, a number of administrative changes for the Public Employees Retirement Association, PARA. Teachers Retirement Association and St. Paul Teachers is in Article 3. That does include the state aid for St. Paul teachers to decrease the employee contributions by 1%. Article 4 is a new plan. It's for probation and telecommunicator, probation officers and telecommunicators. It's a sub-plan of the MSRS general plan. It provides, primarily the benefit is a full retirement at age 60. The employees are paying for that, but for the 2% additional employer contribution that will be paid by the agencies. Mr. Erickson went through the cost on that. Article 5 is another new pension plan for probation officers and telecommunicators. This is administered by PARA. It is a fully new plan, and it has the same benefits as the MSRS sub-plan that I just mentioned. Article 6 is this reduction in employee contributions to these two new plans. So it brings the employee contributions down from 8.82% for the PARA plan, 8.71% for the MSRS plan, down to 8%. So it buys it down for 20 months. Article 7 is a number of changes to the volunteer firefighter plans. These are the relief associations. This includes the state auditors working group recommendations. The section, or Article 8 is on all the public pension plans. These are administrative changes, nothing substantive there. Yes. Article 9, Minnesota's Secure Choice Retirement Program. This makes a number of important administrative changes so that program, which is open now, can continue to function. It's doing very well. It's collecting assets and moving ahead, but there were a number of changes that needed to be made to make the operation conform with the statute. Article 10 relates to supplemental plans. It allows the commission to no longer receive investment fund disclosure information from 403B plans primarily. They are required to provide that to teachers and other participants, but no longer to us. Article 11 is a minor amendment to the healthcare savings plan that will allow elected officials to participate in that plan. Article 12, 2 work groups. One will study changes to the relief associations, one of which is to shorten the vesting schedules from a maximum of 20 down to hopefully a maximum of 10. A second change that they'll be looking at has to do with requiring emergency medical providers to be given membership in relief associations. The other work group relates to duty disability and the public safety benefit account that pays for retiree medical for duty disabled officers. That fund is due to be exhausted in 2 years. So this is a work group intended to deal with duty disability issues as well as that fund. Excuse me, I ran over here. Article 13, special legislation. We have these often in the commission. These help 2 individuals, one of whom had an account with the Minnesota State IRAP. It was lost. Minnesota State is required to pay for that. The second relates to employees who were, an employee who accidentally had some service credit that was omitted. That is being paid for, and that person will get that service credit. Article 14, State Board of Investment. This is the item that Mr. Erickson talked about. Article 15 and 16, technical corrections. Thank you.
Nice job.
All right, thank you for the walkthrough there. Members, any questions or comments, discussion to the bill? Senator Barr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Lincheski, could you just kind of walk me through how IREP loses an account and why they're paying it back? Could you just give me some background on that, please?
Ms. Lincheski.
Mr. Chair.
Senator Frentz.
Senator Barr, having listened to testimony on this issue over and over and over again, here's the story. At one time, we required an evidentiary showing that there was some notice to an employee to move from IRAP to TRA. Multiple times, we have had employees, sometimes years ago, produce no evidence, nor did the plan produce any evidence. They got the notice. And this was one such example. We actually had this in more than one hearing and eventually said, if you don't produce evidence that this employee got notice, we're going to give them this treatment and include them. And that's exactly what happened.
Senator Bart. Any other member comments or questions? Senator Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Frentz and our testifier. I am getting multiple messages from probation officers saying that they're opposed to the position that's being taken in the bill. Is there some disconnect between what leadership is asking for and what the rank and file have been are being indicated in with this bill?
Mr. Chair.
Senator Frentz.
Thank you, Senator Matthews. No, this actually is the result of a work group led by probation officers and 911 communicators. So last year, there was an attempt to have this legislation go through, and we essentially put the pause on it while they did the work group. There are members of the probation officer community who are looking at it saying, in my age group, with my years of service, I would do better, but the group of probation officers together are supportive of the bill. And in pensions, we have a concept called generational equity, which is a little bit of math, but a little bit of fairness, where if I'm 59 and a half, and we make changes to the contribution rate or the benefit rate, and I have a friend who works in the same job that's 26, the generational equity is a little bit tough to manage. After all, a benefit change that I pay for 6 months benefits me in a different way than the 26-year-old. I will add, my staff has not reported to me any complaints about the bill from probation officers. Not that they're not out there, just I haven't heard them as the chair.
Senator Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I'm certainly getting them, and I'm being, I guess my follow-up question is, did the rank and file members get to vote on the position that the organization was taking?
Senator Frentz.
Mr. Chair, I can't say that rank and file members voted as a group. This was brought to us by probation officers who wanted to see this change, and a new plan was created over the 2 years. However, the commission took testimony from any interested party, and I don't know that we had any testimony against it from any probation officers, nor to my knowledge any letters submitted in opposition over the last 4 months. I'm going to just double check that with Ms. Lincheski.
Ms. Lincheski.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Matthews. Apparently, there was one letter raising that concern. We have this with fire departments as well, where they go from a volunteer fire plan into permanent status. The older members or the younger members tend to have a slightly different economic interest, and we accept that. But for the good of the entire group of probation officers, the members voted unanimously to go ahead with this plan after a 1-year delay with the work group.
Follow up, Senator Matthews.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Frentz, I have a constituent that has been in contact with me telling me that dozens of letters have been sent stating this position. I've gotten multiples again this morning on this. So there's definitely a disconnect somewhere, and I guess I need to know more of why that is and what that is before I'm moving forward on this.
Senator Frentz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Matthews. First of all, what I'm telling you is that we have not heard that on LCPR, but happy to connect with you and any of your constituents or members that are emailing. I can't tell you why you've received more letters than we have, but happy to engage with them, listen to their concerns, and try to explain why we're moving the bill forward. Thank you.
All right. Senator, anybody else, any other questions or comments to the bill? Thank you for your work, Senator Frentz. Senator Frentz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, members. I do want to highlight 2 things that Ms. Lincheski talked about. It's timely given Senator Matthews' points. The 2 work groups here were also bills that were brought forward with an attempt to pass them this year. Many of you know that the PTSD duty disability topic is a very controversial one, and eventually Senator Howe and others supported a work group rather than moving it forward. That's exactly what happened last year with the probation officers and 911. So I wanted to flag for State Gov Committee members. These 2 work groups were both topics that there were members of the Minnesota public who wanted us to move ahead with the bill and instead decided to go ahead with the work group. In pensions, we have a saying, pensions is where a quarter percentage point goes to become $100 million. It's actually a very serious topic, and I just want to share with state gov members, you'll be seeing these two study groups come back without doubt next year to say, now we want to move ahead with legislation that makes these changes. That includes Senator Seeberger's outstanding work on behalf of firefighters, where Senator Matthews, you can imagine, some firefighters have concerns about paramedics coming into the plan. It's a different job, has different aspects. And there's generational equity questions. There's a proposal for retroactivity, where a pension benefit would be credited back to years of service. And I'm just flagging for you all that sometimes here you have to be very careful. These are promises that we make members to Minnesotans, that their retirement will be there at the end. And Mr. Chair, the other thing I'd like to point out is that our state's bond rating is critical to us as we get ready to hopefully pass a bonding bill. Members, you know that the state is currently rated AAA. A significant portion of that rating is because of the stability and the improving nature of our pension funds. I know bond ratings are not glamorous, Mr. Chair, but let me tell you, it's got teeth when it comes time to go to Wall Street and borrow what I hope will be about $1 billion for our bonding bill, and to not have the AAA rating, whether it's because of pensions or some other fiscal gray area for those, costs Minnesotans real money when we pay off water infrastructure, buildings for the city or county, roads and bridges. And the pension work that's done here does not get a lot of headlines, but there's $120 billion, give or take, that is Minnesotans' money that we're protecting here. And just for context, I joined the Pension Commission in 2018 when it was about $90 billion. And so we have seen improvement. The funding status of these funds is better than it used to be, and we're on a trajectory where our goal of 2048 for 100% funding status for all our plans is actually ahead of schedule, partly due to the incredible results of the State Board of Investment, but also due to choices like this, which is to be careful with this money and to make sure that if we're going to make changes, that it has the full support. That's why, Mr. Chair, I think the unanimous nature of the vote in pensions signals to the State Government Committee that both parties and all around the state, they're supportive. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Frentz, for your work on this. And then we will be voting to move this out to re-refer it to finance. Is that correct, Senator Frentz?
I believe, Mr. Chair, you refer it to finance. It may stop by the Rules Committee at some point.
All right, sir. All right, with that, Vice Chair Gustafson moves that Senate File 4276, as amended, be recommended to pass and re-referred to the Finance Committee. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The motion prevails. Senate File 4276, as amended, is recommended to pass and re-referred to the Finance Committee. Thank you, Senator Frentz.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members.
All right, and next up we have Senate File 4503, Senator Johnson Stewart's bill, Thermal Energy Networks. And as she makes her way, I think there are two amendments that should be in your packets as well.
Good morning.
Yep. Senator Johnson Stewart, to your bill whenever you are ready to go.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee. Sorry, I thought I was further down the line. Senate File 4503 has already passed out of this committee when it was added as an amendment to the Omnibus bill. But seeing the bill was not heard as a standalone, we are back here for you today. Before we start, I need to move the A2.
Senator Johnson Stewart moves the A2 amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay. The motion prevails. The A2 amendment is adopted. Senator Johnson Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The language in the A2 was flagged by staff in the revisor's office as just having some conflicting definitions. The amendment language was also added to the companion bill yesterday on the House floor. So I'll continue. Thermal energy networks, which is what we're talking about in this bill, are systems that use the ground to efficiently heat and cool neighborhoods. but Minnesota cities and counties currently lack financing tools or bonding to build them at scale. In 2025, the Texas legislature addressed this by classifying geothermal systems as public improvement projects, unlocking access to bonding and enabling local governments to deploy them. This bill asks Minnesota to do the same. There's clear federal alignment in this area. Under Donald Trump, the U.S. Department of Energy supports geothermal innovation through its Geothermal Technologies Office and district-scale pilot programs.
Senator Johnson, sir, I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
But are you looking to adopt the A1 authors amendment also?
Well, I am, but my script that my staff wrote for me says I don't do it yet. But we
All
can
right,
also
certainly.
adopt the A1. That's fine.
All right, Senator Johnson,
I just
sir,
do what I'm told.
moves the A1 authors amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. The motion prevails. The A1 amendment is adopted. Thank you, Senator Johnson, sir.
All right, I'm going to go off script then for a little bit.
Sure.
So the A1 is a technical amendment. House staff noted that there's a conflict in section 429.011 between a definition of municipality in certain counties and the definition of improvement. So the definition of improvement should likely be amended to include county projects listed in the definition of municipality in certain counties. So it seems like the attached amendment is an appropriate technical fix to address this issue. So basically, both amendments are somewhat technical. The bill, I'm now going totally off script. The bill basically allows for local agencies like cities and counties to be able to bond for geothermal projects. And so I do have one testifier, Andy Campo, who's the president of Minnesota Pipe Trades. I think maybe I should answer some questions first, and then we turn it over to a testifier. if
Certainly.
That's okay with you.
Members, any questions or comments to Senator Johnson Stewart in relation to the amendments here?
Did we move to accept the A2, right?
Yep,
Okay.
yep. Senator Drazkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Johnson Stewart. Tell us again why we have the bill here. It passed already in another bill. I'm assuming you're thinking that one might not quite make it.
That's exactly, oh, I'm sorry.
Senator Johnson Stewart.
Mr. Chair, Senator Drazkowski, that's exactly right. So we want to make sure that the bill has a path forward. So thermal energy networks are just something that, if you read the news, if you listen to President Trump, and at the federal level, this is something that is very good for local communities, universities, churches, houses to expand into for getting their energy. It's where, you know, we drive a pipe, well, my technical guy is going to tell about that, but we drive a pipe into the ground and we're able to get our heating and cooling because the ground temperature stays the same. And so again, I'm going to let him explain it. But anyway, it is a very reliable means for heating and cooling buildings. Local agencies do not have the authority to bond for these projects, and so if they don't have a way to finance them, they can't move forward with them without cash. So that's all this bill does, is it empowers local agencies to be able to do it. And yes, we want to make sure we have a path forward, and so that's why we're presenting it today.
Senator Drazkowski.
So, Mr. Chair and Senator Johnson Stewart, yeah, I understand generally what the bill does, but so what was the other bill again? It was an omnibus bill, and we're producing all these omnibus bills here, and then they're hitting the House, and the House is doing single subject, and so
Yep.
that one's going to die. Is that what we understand?
Senator Johnson Stewart.
Well, I will leave the prediction of what's going to happen in the House, but yes, this has been included in the Energy Omnibus. But I don't think that we fully discussed it, and so we brought it back here so that we could have a conversation about it in state and local.
Senator Drazkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Senator Johnson Stewart.
All right, with that, we'll go to Mr. Campo. President Campo. Please state your name for the record, and you may begin.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair Xiong and members of the State and Local Government Committee. I want to thank you for your time today and an opportunity to testify in support of Senate File 4503 as amended. My name is Andrew Campo, and I am the president of the Minnesota Pipe Trades Association. The Minnesota Pipe Trades Association is an umbrella organization representing over 10,000 men and women working in piping-related industries throughout Minnesota. Our members perform mechanical construction and repair work, including plumbing, pipe fitting, and fire protection. The energy sector is critical for our members who build, maintain, and repair thermal power plants, including coal, gas, and nuclear, along with petroleum and renewable fuel refineries and pipelines. The energy transition is going to be a challenge for those who have spent their careers working in the traditional energy sector. A just transition means ensuring that we are accounting for their unique skill sets and affording them the opportunities to contribute to the low-carbon energy sector. The installation of thermal energy networks represents an important opportunity to our members for work. While thermal energy networks can save money over time, the upfront cost of these systems remains significantly higher than traditional energy systems. By providing the ability for local units of government to bond for these systems, this will ease that initial upfront financial burden. We firmly believe Senate File 4503 will spur more interest in implementation of thermal energy networks. I'd like to thank Senator Ann Johnson Stewart for bringing this bill forward today, and we would encourage members to support the bill. And if I could, now I'll go off script a little.
Okay.
As far as like the technical aspect of these systems, we're fortunate. We have a number of training centers here within the Metro, Local 539, Local 455. Always happy to meet with legislators, show them these systems, have more an in-depth conversation as far as the technicality of the systems. So if anyone ever wants a tour or to sit down and really learn the nuts and bolts of how these thermal energy network systems work, always happy to provide that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Campo. Senator Johnson Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Campbell. I just want to back up a little bit because my script frankly had some errors. So the A1 amendment, and I will be dealing with my staff later. No, I'm just kidding. The A1 amendment was offered by Senator Hemmingson Yeager, and I'm going to ask her to describe it in a minute. It was the A2, and I may have misspoke, so I just want to make sure that I say this correctly. The A2 is the one that was offered by the revisor's office that just had some definitions that were in conflict. And so if, Mr. Chair, if you would ask Senator Hemmingson Yeager to describe the A1, it has to do with some other, with something that I didn't describe correctly.
Senator Hemmingson Yeager, to your portion. No.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Johnson Stewart. The A1 basically is some recommendations, then collaborative effort through labor and utilities about the thermal energy networks that came from the PUC's Thermal Energy Network Working Group. And basically, it just allows utilities to build these systems should they choose to, and then allows them to some consumer protection, or allows consumers to have consumer protections, and then rate recovery. So it was included in the Energy Omnibus and the supplemental budget bill. And again, just to kind of corroborate with Senator Johnson Stewart, just another vehicle that we can have for this important work.
All right, thank you. Senator Johnson Stewart, any final comments to the bill?
Yes, I know my staff's watching, and I want them to know I was just kidding.
Senator Drazkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Johnson Stewart, and maybe this A1 amendment covers some of it under cost recovery, but describe the decision-making that's going to happen in a municipality around this. I generally understand from your description and others how these can work, but my understanding of thermal energy is it's expensive, and it can be expensive. What type of discussion, interaction, decision-making will happen in a municipality around this to make certain that a municipality is, and of course, the ultimate answer is the voters will, correct some of that, I'm sure, but more instantly than that, how will that happen? How will the citizens know that their decision makers aren't doing stuff that's and making decisions around this that is not a good fiscal alternative for them?
Senator Johnson Stewart.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, Senator Drazkowski. I would guess, I don't know this to be 100% true, but I'll answer based on my experience and expertise, that any time a public agency, whether it's a county or a city, moves into a capital improvement project like this. So going to a thermal energy network, that would be a project level thing. Like, that would be something that they would have to get bids on and something they'd have to have plans for and permits, et cetera. Much like if they built a solar energy or a wind turbine or something like that. So they'd have to demonstrate or study the cost benefit of it before they would move forward with any project. So, I mean, I just don't see a local agency conducting a cost benefit or getting that information typically from their contractor or their engineer, having it be a money suck and then deciding to move forward with it. But I would assume it would go forward with any of the other analysis, just like any other project. Maybe my testifier has better information on that. Do you?
Mr. Capo?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Senator Drazkowski. Yeah, you described the process as we've seen it play out. If a municipality is interested in a thermal energy network system, typically their first step is to engage an engineering firm or one of our mechanical contractors to assist them through that process. It is a long process. It can be. These are complex systems, and a lot of planning and permitting as well goes into them.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Senator Drazkowski. All right, Senator Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just need to call attention to the cost recovery piece shouldn't just be described as technical changes. That's a fairly substantial energy policy change, which the legislature can decide, is that worth doing or is that not worth doing? It's much, much more than just a technical change. It's deciding whether or not we add this type of system, which then gets passed on to the ratepayers to all have to increase their fees and their payments to go back and cover these types of projects. So I think that just needs to be clarified on the record so that legislators know with eyes wide open what we're actually walking into.
Thank you, Senator Matthews. Senator Johnson Stewart.
Yeah, thank you, Senator Matthews. As I read that, that's why I wanted to clarify that the A1 amendment was more than just a technical amendment. But if Senator Hemmingson-Yager has any additional information, she's the one that is really more adept at answering that.
Senator Hemmingson-Yager.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so this did go through the Energy Committee, and I just kind of point out too that it is subject to review and approval by the PUC. So.
Thank you. And with that, Senator Johnson Stewart moves that Senate File 4503 as amended be recommended to pass and placed on general orders. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The motion prevails. Senate File 4503 as amended is recommended to pass and be placed on general orders. And with that, we are adjourned.